Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Hasan Zeki Alp. I'm a retired engineer. I have got a Bachelor of Science Electrical Engineering. After my retirement years, after my retirement days, I have decided to do a beneficial thing, and I have decided to learn modern programming languages. And so far, more than a dozen programming languages I have learned. I have completed online courses. Of course, I got certificates. And as a result of this learning, free learning, I have made up my mind, and I decided to broadcast, to prepare video courses so as to transfer all what I've learned to the guys, people who would like to understand, who would like to learn modern programming languages. Not exactly up to expertise level, however, just to get an idea about modern programming languages, and have got elementary and somehow intermediate level of language syntax, and to be acquainted with the codes. And that's what I've targeted when I started such kind of activity. This is a non-profit activity, in fact. Just I would like to obey the saying of Jesus Christ. In fact, take free, give free. That's a result of this motto. Just I obey this rule, and after a long preparation period, I have started broadcasting, preparing, shooting these video recordings, and so far I have completed Python, Kotlin, Ruby, Java, JavaScript, and nowadays I have decided to prepare to do something about JavaScript derivatives, and Nodejs has been one of them, and of course CodeMix and TypeScript have to be included in the class. And so far I have prepared, as far as I remember, 3 TypeScript lessons. And by the way, I will start up the third TypeScript course in English language. Just before starting, I have to give some details about the IDE, Integrated Development Environment, that I've been using to present you. I've been using a screen sharing program, paid screen sharing program. I do not mention its name here. And of course, I've been using YouTube's facility, thanks to him. And ECLIPSE IDE environment I've been using to prepare, to edit, and to present what I've been prepared for TypeScript and JavaScript programs. And I've been using another editor program that's paid, that's been paid, so I do not eager to mention its name because of some restrictions. And right away we'd like to start up. That's been a small chat, and without wasting any time, I'd like to start up our lesson 3, lesson 4 for TypeScript. Take it easy, take your time. Okay, just in our fourth lesson, I'd like to mention you, I would like to show you demo file 25. Yes, 25 TypeScript with TypeScript extension. This is my variable that's been created as a number and initialized as 1, and I have established a while loop here. You can see here while loop, and within this while loop main frame, I'd like to inquire the multiples of 5 here. For this reason, I use modulo 5 arithmetic operation here, and if I divide it by 5 without giving any remaining, so that means it's a multiple of 5. If this expression, the result of this expression gives true, that's gonna perform this line, and after that it's gonna break. And out of this block, out of the affirmation block, I have to increase, I have to establish an increment step, I++, and that's all. In fact, what I've been trying to do is to count the multiples of 5 between 1 and 10. And when I click right click and when I run TSC, that stands for TypeScript compiler, and this file is generated, this is created, file 025 with JavaScript extension. Exactly, it's very similar to the TypeScript one, and as I have obtained this file, so I can make it run by using Nodejs.exe, and here I do it, and just I expect to see only 5. So between 1 and 10, how many numbers have got as a multiple of 5? Only 5. I've got only 5. My PC is a little bit slow, so it comes afterwards. Just I would like to run once again. Okay, the first multiple of 5 between 1 and 10 is 5. The important thing here is the condition to going on the while loop, and the comparison here, so as to find out whether I is a multiple of 5 or not. And how about 26, just with this code, I define a variable num so as to initialize as 0, and I define count, it's also initialized 0, and I here establish a for loop here. For loop, this is the starting condition, okay, this is the final condition, and this is the increment value. So what it stands for, I'd like to make another comparison here, so as to find out whether a number is an even number or an odd number. I'd like to make it counted the odd numbers, in fact, because in case it is even, I prefer to do nothing. That's to say, I prefer continue. And after that, out of this block, so my counter is incremented by 1. So what is it used for? Just I can count the number of odd numbers here. So it's gonna be run until number less than or equal to 20. So it's that's it. I think after that I'd like to make it console logged. The count of odd values between 0 and 20 is, and this is the count value. So in my mind, just I can say that 10 numbers is odd numbers between 0 and 20. And here I have already run compiler, TypeScript compiler, and here, okay, okay, and just I can make it run. The count of odd values between 0 and 20 is 10, and similarly the count of even numbers between 0 and 20 will be 10 also. And how about next TypeScript file? Our new TypeScript file, I give an example of simple function definition. Here in TypeScript we can define functions such as variables, and in my example I define my function, and with brackets, this is important, and with curly brackets just I can express, I can state anything that's gonna be done within this functions framework. In my case, this is gonna simply log out to the screen function code as a function code. This is the string to be printed out on the screen. And how to call this function? Just out of this curly bracket, I simply mention its name with brackets. That's it. And it works, and it recalls my function, and it will do what is to be done within these curly brackets. And here I run my compiler, and I obtained relevant JavaScript file, JavaScript 27. Okay, when I clicked on this one, okay, I just hesitated a little bit when I get the similar syntax, and the similar syntax as a JavaScript one, and when I run this one by means of Nodejs.exe, and I get function code. This is written, this is displayed on my console output as I expected. And how about JavaScript TypeScript 28 or 28? Okay, this time just I gave another name just to get a familiarization about function creation and function recall, and this time its name is test, and this is function definition. Just I'd like to take attention for this curly brackets, and within curly brackets just I can define anything. In this case I simply prefer to print out on the screen such as function again called, and curly bracket is closed here, and when I mention its name in this case is test with brackets, this function will be called, and what is done that's gonna be mentioned within these brackets. Okay, and how about 30 file 30 with extension TS? Okay, we're going on with our function definitions here. In this case, I define a function here, test underscore parameter function, like this one. Okay. Okay, you guys, we've got two arguments that's defined for this test parameter function. One is number, and the other is a string. In fact, and first is number, stands for number, and S first stands for string. That means it's gonna be an alphanumeric variable. And in this case, just I mention the name of my argument n1 and s1, and just look here, curly bracket, and it's closed here. That means my function definition ends here. Okay, what's turn? It's turn to recall a test param function. In fact, however, in this case, I prefer to give two arguments. One argument as a numeric number, and the other is a string, such as this is a string. This is an expression. This is a statement. And when I recall this function with two parameters, what's to be done? It's to be logged two lines, and first and s first. What was the number of this function, this file? 30. So 30 JavaScript file is going to be created as a result of compilation. Okay, this similar thing. When I run this one, okay, just we do not forget to save our modified file. Two lines have been written. Why? Because when I recall this function, this console log method is called twice. In fact, once for printout or display at first, and the other is to display in order to display as first. And first stands for number, that's to say 1, 2, 3, and S first stands for string, such as this is a string. As you notice, type definition is just vanished when I compiled this file so as to obtain a JavaScript file here. Just and first and comma s first is enough for argument definition. In fact, just I would like to take your attention here. When I look here, okay, it's a must for TypeScript and first number and as first string. However, when I converted it to or diverted into JavaScript, simply it vanishes, and first and as first stands for as argument values. And how about 31st TS TypeScript file? I here would like to give an example of ID and name printout or display. And however, besides this, just I would like to add one more argument or one more member, so as to be an email address. And for email address, just I make an interrogation here. Mail ID, if mail ID is not undefined, that's to say, if it is not defined, it's not defined. So just say mail ID will be mail ID. And as a result of this extra members, extra information, just I have to add one more argument here. So we have got one argument for number ID, identification number, and one argument for string as name, and one argument for mail ID. Okay, just here I have to place a interrogation mark here, so it's gonna be a string probably, and the other part will be ID and print out this one, name and print out this argument, and that's the end of my function definition here. Just look here. When you follow the curly brackets starting from here and ends here, so from this line, from this point, just I can recall my function, display underscore details function. In this case, just I prefer to recall this function only these two parameters, such as number and string. And for the second one, however, I would like to add an extra one here, one more detail here. So it's gonna be email such as mary@xyz.com, and it's allowed, in fact, because we have already defined three arguments here, such as number, string, and another string. And for the second recalling, I will mention new personal ID or employee ID, and Mary, and Mary XYZ. This stands for email address, and how it is runs. In fact, if mail ID is not undefined, so just say it's not does not equal to undefined. So just you have to mention email ID and mail ID itself. Okay, this is the relevant corresponding JavaScript file here, almost all the same as with TypeScript 1. And when I run this TypeScript file, JavaScript file, sorry, by means of this Nodejs.exe, just 2 lines will be printed, 4 lines will be printed, sorry, for this one, this is the first, okay, just this is the first part. And how about the information about Mary, this one, okay, with including email address, email details, in fact. Okay, just let me how far, okay, 30 second, 30 second, I have to show you this one also, 30 second TypeScript file. I here define add numbers function here. Okay, this is the name of my function, so it's gonna include numbers that's to be defined when we create the members, list members during our loop phase. And this is the syntax that corresponds to that purpose. And when I will explain it later. When I look here, okay, curly bracket, just I follow up this curly bracket. Okay, the influence range of my function just starts from here and comes up to here. Okay, I here define one variable such as I, and I here define another variable such as sum. Also it's a number and initialized as 0, and I here establish a for loop here. Okay, just look here. Okay, within these curly brackets, and this is the starting condition, this is the limit condition, and this is the increment condition. I have already defined this variable, so it is initialized here, as you see. And how about this? As long as I less than nums that length, what is it in fact? Nums dot length just corresponds to the length of this list. In fact, the length of or the number of members of this number list, and this is the increment value I plus plus. And within this effect area, just I have to sum, I have to add to sum the numbers of list with index I, in fact. Okay, index I will be increased for each step, each loop, and for each loop some value will be increased with the contents of nums list. And at the end of this loop, just I would like to print out the sum of numbers. This is the paraphrasing expression, and I simply mention sum. Okay, this is the end of my function definition. So it's turn to run our function recalling here. What was its name? Its name was add numbers. Just look here. I here mention three members or three arguments such as 1, 2, 3. That means it's gonna have three members, and the length of this number list will be 3, such as index 0, index 1, and index 2. And the loop will be performed 3 times for calculation this sum corresponding to this one. And how about the next one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have got 5 elements. So our loop must have been repeated 5 times, sorry, starting 0 up to 4. So that's gonna be 5 elements. And as a result of the fifth performance, fifth loop, fifth repetition, sum will be 1, 20, 30, 40, 50 as a result of recalling this one also. When I run this one, okay, relevant JavaScript file is created as a result of this one, and I simply recall this one, Nodejs. Sum of numbers for this one 30, 3, 5, and 6, and for this one 50. It's gonna take some time for describing all bits and pieces. However, when you understand the mentality for each step, you will be accustomed for the next for the examples in future, and that's my intention to do my best to describe all bits and pieces like this. How about this one, 33, TypeScript 33? This one, just I give an example. I would like to give an example for discount application, and to obtain the resultant price after discount calculated. The name of my function is calculate discount. Okay, and so it's gonna take a price. Of course, it's gonna be a number numeric value, and it's gonna take a rate, discount rate, of course. So it's also another numeric value less than 1. It's about 50%. Okay, and my effective area of my function starts here. Okay, up to here, and just a simple expression here. Discount is gonna be price dot rate in fact. Okay, and this is a variable definition in fact, and after that I simply get it printed, get it displayed, the discount value, and after this curly bracket I recall my function two times. At first I use 1000, that's 1 grand. So that means I assume the predefined rate number, discount rate number in fact. So 1.50 or 50% will be applied for this one. And how about the next one, the second one? This case I use two arguments. One argument for my capital or the price, in fact, and how about the other one? The other one is stands for discount, rate, discount rate, in fact. So in this case, it's about 30, and by means of a simple multiplication, I can obtain some of the numbers 60 and this regarding with the previous one. Okay, the relevant JavaScript file will be like this, and when I run by means of Nodejs, okay, this is gonna be 5,500, and for this one it's gonna be 300. How about the last example for tonight? Example 34 TS, and here I define my function. It's gonna be an instance of my new function. Actually, in this script family, we have got object creation, object instance creation, in fact, other saying, and for function I create an instance such as my function, so it's gonna accept 1, 2, and 3 arguments. The first two arguments are variables or inputs, just I can say inputs, and this is the return value, so it's to be multiplied, a multiplied b is going to be a return value, and I here prefer to make it displayed in two steps here. One at the first step I create a variable x so as to be assigned as a recalling value of this instance with these two parameters, I mean 4 and 3, and after this assignment I simply accept this variable so as to be an argument for this console log displaying method. Okay, this is one method. Just I could prefer another one. Just I would say console log, just like here. Oops. Console.log, and my function 4,3. Okay, like this. This will also display the same manually, just like it. Okay, it comes a little bit delay. When I run this one, okay, the same results will be displayed as a result of this method. Just it's an example by assigning a variable so as to be a result of this function recalling, and after that accept this variable, or just accept this result as an argument for this method recalling. Okay, that's the end of this TypeScript lesson for you guys. In order to overcome uploading difficulty issues, just I have to cut this lesson right here. And thanks for your watching me, and thanks for your time. I hope you enjoy and you find it useful, this kind of TypeScript courses, TypeScript lessons. Just I would like to give an advice for a better understanding, the better comprehension. Just you have to go back my JavaScript courses, and also Node.js courses to get a brush up, to get a knowledge brush up, and that's going to be helpful. I hope this is my intention, this is my idea. Once again, thanks for your time, thanks for watching me. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot. Bye now.